Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing my worst books of 2021. So honestly, this is one of my favorite videos to make every year. It's one of my favorite videos to watch every year, and I think it's gonna be a good time. I should have done this with wine, but it's the middle of the day, so that's probably not a good idea. So I'm gonna start off with the books that I DNF'd this year. I have 4 of them. The first one was The Hitman by Katrina Jackson. So I think this one was a novella, I don't remember, but it was the second in a series. I read Beautiful and Dirty, I gave it 3 stars, it was okay. However, in this one, I couldn't get past the main character crying herself to sleep every night over a man who clearly didn't give a fuck about her, and I just didn't care. So I ended up DNFing it. I saw from Heather's channel that there is a 3rd one now, but I'm probably not gonna read it because this one kind of ruined the series for me. My next DNF was called Call Me Maybe. It was an Audible original. I still don't know if I didn't like it because I didn't like the main character or if I just didn't like her voice actor. Either way, I couldn't get past it. It was a story about a woman who was having tech trouble, so she calls this IT company and she and the guy are on the phone for like hours and somehow are supposed to fall in love without meeting each other. Also not my thing, so didn't work out for me. Next, I tried to reread Shatter Me. This was a book that I read in college that I gave 3 or 4 stars. I think I might have made it to chapter 2 before I decided that it was not worth it, and I unhauled all the books in the series because I had gotten up to book 5 because I realized that I need to stop buying the entire series before reading things. And my last DNF was The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. This was a little disappointing because I love Talia Hibbert. At least I love the Brown Sister series, so this is my first time reading anything outside of that series by her. Unfortunately, it did not go well. However, I heard from other readers that they also weren't feeling that one specifically, so I think that may just not have been the book for me. Now onto the books that I finished and did not like. So all of these will be books that I rated 2.5 stars or less. So the first book on my worst of 2021 list is Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. This was a reread for me. However, the first time I read it, I also didn't love it as much as the other 2 books. This time around, I didn't really love the entire series as much as I did before because all of the things are annoying. But in this one specifically, Mal's just a fucking asshole the entire time, and I could not get over him. Nikolai was a saving grace for this book and the only reason that I didn't give it 1 star. The next book on this list is In 5 Years by Rebecca Surley. I have a drunk book review of this. It was awful. There is no plot. The main character is an awful person and an awful friend. I hated almost every second of this book, but I was hoping that it was going to get better because the premise sounds really good. It's about this woman who keeps having recurring dreams about this man, and they finally run into each other face to face, and I was super intrigued by that. It was not worth it. Do not recommend. Usually I can say, hey, if you like this trope or this theme, then you should read it. For that book, there's nothing that I can say to recommend it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not even sure why I gave it a 1.75 instead of a flat out 1. Either way, I don't recommend it. The next book on this list was Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This is about a young Black woman who nannies for a little white girl. She's with the little girl one day at a store, and this random woman accuses her of kidnapping the little girl. That in and of itself was a problem, but this book heavily had like this undertone of white savior complex, and it was really fucking annoying. A lot of the white characters do and say racist things and are never called out on it, and I guess that is a parallel of what microaggressions in the real world are like. However, I didn't really feel that there was a point. I also really hated the main character because she's constantly complaining about things that she doesn't like in her life. However, she's not doing anything to change her circumstances, so no thank you. So for the next book on this list, I really tried to avoid putting it on this list because it hurt, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that it deserves a lower rating than what I actually gave it. What I gave it was a 2.75, and it did not deserve that. King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo was a huge disappointment, not only because it was originally marketed as the Nikolai duology, and it was not, but because some of the events in the book didn't make sense and were completely out of left field and felt completely unnecessary. There's a plot twist sort of towards the middle that honestly didn't even make sense, and then once that happens, everything goes downhill, and then the ending was complete fucking trash. So while I originally gave this 2.75, I think it actually deserves a 2 star, and I'm probably going to update my rating. I held on to the physical copy for quite some time, and then I finally got rid of it, and when I got rid of it, I realized that it really did deserve a lower rating. The next book on this list is Throne of Glass. I'm sure this sounds a surprise to anybody. Robin, I forgive you, but don't don't ever recommend me a book that you know I'm gonna hate, okay? Where do I even start? So this book is about Selena, who's supposedly this amazing fucking assassin, and she is in prison and then becomes a champion for the king in this tournament of champions thing. Champions start dropping like flies, and she's trying to get to the bottom of it. I have so many issues with Selena. But first and foremost, in general, do not recommend me a book about an assassin where I don't get to see them assassinate shit. Because I'm tired of being told that she's so great. If she wanted to, she could do this. She could take them down. She could do XYZ and they wouldn't even see it coming. Show me, babe. Don't tell me, okay? Not only that, but the best character in all that shit fucking dies in book 2. No thank you. And she's the only person of color, of course. On top of that, you're an assassin, but a mysterious bag of candy ends up in your room and you just start eating it without question? While people are dying around you. Okay. Leigh Bardugo disappoints me again with Ninth House. I honestly do not understand the appeal of this book. Like, I wasn't really interested in it to begin with, but then Robin and Dasha were like, no, read it. We want to know what you think. I hated it. It was boring as hell. The only character that I cared about was a side character who didn't really come into it until towards the end. The lead up to book 2 does sound really interesting. Like, it sounds like book 2 is going to be good, but this book has ruined hope for the rest of the series. I will not be continuing. So this is Leigh Bardugo's first adult book, and it's about Alex Stern. Her name is Galaxy. Why? I don't know. But she is at Yale, and she's in this secret society, and she can see ghosts. And I didn't care about any of that, so that wasn't for me. I just shouldn't have picked it up in the first place. The next book on this list was a 5-star prediction that I ended up rating 1.5 stars, and it was The Echo Wife. Unfortunately, this just did not work for me, mostly because I hated the main character. And this, we're following a scientist who is interacting with a clone of herself who was married to her ex-husband. Ex-husband ends up dead, and then the two of them have to figure out what they're gonna do. I would recommend this for people who enjoy sciencey stuff and all the cloning that's happening, but otherwise I hated the main character. I hated her husband, and I think I gave it a 0.5 because there were some pretty good plot twists, but otherwise I hate this book. And it's so funny because other people really enjoyed it and I'm just like, how? But yeah, Echo Wife was not for me, unfortunately. The next book on this list I actually do have a physical copy of. It's Empire of Gold by S.E. Chakraborty, the final book in the Daevabad trilogy. So I do also have a drunk book review of this. The reason that I got a copy of this is because I have the other two and I needed my set to be complete. While I did not enjoy this one, I still love City of Brass. It was a 5-star prediction that I gave 5 stars. I gave Kingdom of Copper 4 stars. And even though I didn't love the conclusion, I still think that this series is a really good one and I will continue to recommend it to people. Can't say too much about this one, obviously, but I do have full reviews of all 3 books if you are interested in my thoughts. The world in this is really great. There's found family. There was just something at the end of Kingdom of Copper that didn't make a lot of sense and we never really got answers, so I just didn't like that. And the last book on this list is The Perfect Escape by Leah Conan. I had a NetGalley arc of this and I ended up rating it 2.5 stars. This is about 3 women all going through divorces who decide to plan a girls trip. Along the way they end up having car trouble and then one of their ex-boyfriends shows up. So unfortunately, I did not like this one as much as I had hoped. Part of the reason is because one of the characters that we follow was really fucking annoying, but also kept doing dumb things, knowing that she shouldn't do them, but then refused to take accountability for her actions. So that was really annoying. And there were some good twists and turns along the way. The ending surprised me, but overall for me, it just wasn't an enjoyable experience. However, if the premise sounds interesting to you and you want to pick it up, it will be released in early January. So those are all of the books on my worst of 2021 list. Let me know if you have read any of these, what your thoughts on them were, if you agree or disagree with me. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.